This is The Weekly on ClickOrlando.com with Justin Warmoth.
Good morning, I'm Justin Warmoth. With the primaries less than 2 months away, candidates are ramping up their campaigns. Perhaps the most competitive contest, the Democratic primary for District 10. There are 10 Democrats vying to replace Congresswoman Val Demings, who decided to run for Senate against Marco Rubio. This morning, one of those candidates, State Senator Randolph Bracy, is here to break down his platform. And Senator Bracy, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
All right, so let's go through it. I know that there are a lot of folks out there who do know you and know of your background, sure. And your time in the state legislature. But let's go through that. Sure. How long you've been there and what you've done.
Well, I've passed more legislation than any Democrat in this state in my time in the Senate over a 5-year period. So I've been in the legislature for 10 years, 4 in the House, 6 in the Senate, and now I'm running for Congress. So I've passed legislation from changing the death penalty to the Ocoee massacre to making it easier for firefighters to get their benefits once they retire. The list goes on and on. I do many workshops, distributions, a lot of community work outside of passing laws. Brought home tons of money for Orange County for different projects, so very proud of my record.
Born and raised here?
I was here since the 9th grade. I moved here with my family. I went to Dr. Phillips High School, left and went to William and Mary. I played basketball there. Played a little bit of pro overseas, and just settled back here in Orlando. Started teaching, started my own business, and then ran for office 10 years ago.
What made you decide to run for office then, and has it, I know it's changed, certainly has changed the political landscape of our country, but how is this what you would have envisioned after 10 years? Not
at all. You know, I didn't think I would be in the legislature much at all. I thought I would go there, pass the bills that I cared about, and didn't think I'd be here this long, but realizing how partisan it was and how difficult it is to move things through government, it's slower paced than I would prefer. I found myself here longer trying to accomplish the job that I planned to 10 years ago. So it's much different, but you know, my family's here. My parents have started a church, and you know, their ministry, I think, is what really motivated me. Just service. They're public servants, and so I think I've got that same heart, and that's why I started out doing what I do. But you know, we're in the most partisan time I've ever seen before, and so especially now with some of the what I call culture wars that we've seen out of this administration, it's been fighting on one side that agenda, but also trying to be effective for this district, and I've been able to balance that.
How has this past legislative session compared to the others that you've been in?
For my experience, it's been the worst, just because you know, there are real needs out there that people are suffering from. Inflation, affordable housing, I mean, the list goes on and on. I talk to people, gas prices, and the majority of our session was dealt with, you know, attacking Disney, you know, critical race theory, something that I don't even believe is really an issue in our schools. And so it's what I would call these culture wars that we spent the majority of our time dealing with. Don't say gay bill. And so it was frustrating hearing the real needs of people and them asking me to address those, but the governor and the Republican administration setting the agenda, and so we spent a lot of time just fighting.
So why did you decide to run for District 10?
Well, I have the most experience, I would say, in being effective in actually passing laws and bringing the resources back to this district that will help it, but also fighting this current administration. I think that if we look at past Republican administrations, I think you're seeing a wave and an agenda that is much more aggressive, and I'm the only one that has fought that and won in a lot of respects. So, and again, what made me start it 10 years ago is why I'm still running. I care about people. I want to serve, and I think I'm very effective at it.
Yeah. Carrying on Congresswoman Val Demings' legacy,
in that district. She has been a mainstay for several years, and now, of course, running for U.S. Senate against Marco Rubio. Have you leaned on her at all for any advice, and what does she mean to you?
She's a special lady. I mean, she's a leader, she's charismatic. I mean, we all, I think, in the political space look to her for leadership. She's been a great example, and for this region, you know, she's built a name nationally, and so we really respect her. And I talk to her from time to time and just ask her about what's it like on the campaign trail. This is a different animal running for a state seat as opposed to a federal seat. So she's given me a lot of advice, and I would say she's a good mentor. So I do appreciate all that she's done for Central Florida and what she's meant for us.
What's been the biggest challenge so far?
Well, I think that it's a larger area to cover. So I really like to get out there and just meet people, talk to people, but in a larger district, it's just kind of hard to do that. And I mean, I would say that's the biggest issue. I mean, the issues are a little bit different. There's more candidates. I mean, it's you've got to raise money from everyday people, and so you know, money's tight for people, and I really just like connecting with people. But raising money is a part of what campaigning is, and so it's just balancing all of that with family and you know, my business. So it's been a challenge, but it's been good though to really connect with people and hear what their concerns are.
What are those concerns? What are the common themes that you've been hearing?
Economic concerns are the number one concerns. I mean, I hear every day about rent, about, you know, it's difficult if a person doesn't have a place to stay, actually finding a house. I mean, the prices have skyrocketed. Just inflation. I mean,
Cost
gas
of living.
prices. Just cost of living in Central Florida is very difficult for people. So I don't know if the salaries have caught up with cost of living.
Sure.
Yeah.
When it comes to rent, I know that there have been several discussions on capping that and for landlords to assist in any way they can, but it doesn't seem like that will get done on any level. Is there, what would your idea be to help with the cost of living?
Well, I think you have to look at possibly capping rent, but you also have to provide some kind of incentive for landlords. They're in the business of real estate, and so I think you have to find a balance between helping renters and also accommodating the landlords. And so, you know, I've been thinking and talking about possibly doing an incentive for landlords to cap rent, but also compensate them for their losses in doing something like that. And so I think it's a good balancing act that they would be willing to do, but also I think it could slow the tide of what's happening in our rental market.
We'll have more with State Senator Bracy coming up, including his stance on gun control and whether he believes the Biden administration has done enough to curb inflation. Stay with us.
This is The Weekly on ClickOrlando.com with Justin Warmoth.
Welcome back. Our guest this morning is State Senator Randolph Bracy, one of the 10 Democratic candidates running for District 10, a seat Congresswoman Val Demings has held for 3 terms. We start this portion of the interview with his take on whether the Biden administration and the federal government have done enough to curb inflation and gas prices.
I think he's doing what they can, but I think we've got to be a little bit more aggressive with the Ukraine situation. I think you know, holding gas companies accountable is something that we have to be a lot more serious about doing, and so we have to look at the gas tax, possibly eliminating that. So I think, and obviously he's dealing with the Congress and Senate that are divided, so it's difficult, but I think we've got to focus in on those things to really help people.
The governor says October, the state of Florida will suspend its gas tax. A lot of folks said, well, that should have been earlier.
Right.
That's when traditionally in the fall, gas prices fall. A lot of people pointing to that as a political move. Is that how you saw it?
It is. I mean, we could have done that. I mean, that is what I've been saying this entire legislative session. Why are we not focusing on issues that matter to people? We had the entire legislative session to do that. and he wants to wait till August, right before people vote for him. So him or his opponent. So it's obviously a political stunt, but and that is what it is.
Yeah, your field, there are 10 Democrats, including yourself, running for District 10. It leans Democrat. Obviously, in years past, we had redistricting, which changes the makeup a little bit, but it's still expected to lean Democrat. To navigate through a field that's that crowded, how difficult is that, and how do you separate yourself?
Well, thankfully, almost half of the electorate has voted for me before. They have in my Senate district, and I think that a lot of people just see what I'm doing on a whole as an elected official. So I think my name recognition is very strong. And then, I just keep doing the work. I just had a press conference yesterday about the Icon Park situation. We've got about an initiative we'll hear about soon, and that we're doing in our district next week. So I think for me, it's just doing the work. I'm the only elected official in this race right now. So I have that benefit of just showing what I can do and what I have been doing. And so I think that's what I plan to do.
It's interesting because across the country, it seems like when there are races like this one, that whoever wins the primary likely will come out in the general. It gets extremely, who can be the most extreme, I think is the best way to put it.
Right.
One of the candidates you're going against touts himself, Maxwell Frost, as being more progressive, the more progressive candidate, the most progressive candidate in that race. Is that something you think about at all, or do you just try to stay in your lane, if you will, and focus on what you believe in?
Well, I think that, I think there's a lot of noise around politics, and you got new candidates, and I've met him before, but like we were in a debate a couple days ago, and he was saying how he was responsible for the Marjory Stoneman Douglas bill, a bill that I was the only Democrat to get an amendment on. I was behind the scenes working to pass that bill. I ultimately voted against it because they included arming teachers, and that's something that they kind of reneged on at the last minute, but he had nothing to do with that, with passing that bill. I say all that to say I have a progressive record.
Sure.
And so I think it's sometimes cool to see new candidates come out of nowhere. But I think that, I've done the work, and so I think people know that, and I'll continue to tell that story, and I think I'll be okay.
As far as gun control in this country, as you pointed to with the Marjory Stoneman Douglas Act, which did a lot of good on the gun control standpoint from gun control advocates. They were pleased with what did get passed. Obviously, they would like to see more.
Sure.
Red flag laws, of course, which have done a number of good things, and raising the age to 21. Federally, is that a place to start, and what ultimately would you like to see when it comes to gun reform in this country?
Well, I think the legislation that we passed, that I had a huge hand in, is a model for this country. And I think a lot of what was in that bill should be in a federal bill. Like you said, raising the age to 21, red flag laws. I think what you see in that bill is a good starting point. And I think there's some other things we can do. I just had a 3-point plan that I talked about. I think just having like a character test given, moral character test when a person goes to purchase a gun, a moral attestation test where people have to attest to a person's moral character, just having 2 people, because if they don't have the moral character to have a gun, that person could alert authorities if they're trying to buy a gun. So there's just little things that we can do. And Republicans say that they're concerned about mental health. Well, that's a way to test their mental health before they get a gun. So I don't think these are huge steps. Why I've been able to shape the Marjory Stoneman Douglas bill is because I tried to find amendments, language that Republicans could agree to.
Common ground.
Right, and I've been only Democrat in this state to put an amendment that sticked onto that bill.
You look at the divisiveness. Obviously, it's just in politics, but in Congress, as we've been watching play out and increasingly getting more partisan. Are you a candidate who can reach across the aisle and get something done that would be meaningful, despite it being proposed by, say, a Republican colleague?
Yeah, I think working with across the aisle has become a dirty word,
Right.
and when you talk about like a Democratic primary, I say I passed the most legislation because I've figured out a way to just get things done. I don't want to come up here and waste my time, and so I stick up for the ideals of our party, what I believe in, and I think you can do that without compromising your ideals. And so I think there's something to be said about actually going up there and getting something done.
One more question on gun control. Do you believe that assault weapons should be banned?
I do. As a matter of fact, I sponsored a bill for a couple years to ban assault weapons.
Is that with State Senator Linda Stewart?
With Linda Stewart did it 1 year, I did it 1 year.
Okay.
So that's something that we've pushed for, but in Florida, our
it's
legislature is not ready
going
for
to
it.
happen, probably. I do want to ask you what you believe the biggest threat facing this country is.
I believe that our current economic situation and what people are facing, I think that this inflation is very concerning to me. We're going into extreme debt, trying to recover from the pandemic, and I think it's going to take a lot for us to recover. So I think that we've got to get a hold of our economic situation for the sake of our now and for our future. Yeah.
I do want to end with this. I want you to pitch to the constituents of District 10, new and old, because a lot of folks are they're getting into that district now, they're leaving another one because of redistricting, and what that pitch would be to those future constituents about why they should vote for you.
Well, it's very simple. I've got the experience and the know-how to get things done. Like I said before, I passed more legislation than any Democrat during my 5-year tenure from 2016 to 21 in the entire state. I brought more money home than any other Democrat for this region. So I'm just there to get things done. I have the record to prove it, and I'll do it in Washington.
Now, we recorded this interview before the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. In a statement, Bracy said, quote, "I'm highly disappointed and disturbed by the U.S. Supreme Court's decision, which eliminates a fundamental right for women and upends the scales of justice. The interference of politics with the personal decision a woman makes with her doctor is unacceptable, unfair, and unjust," end quote. We have more on the High Court's ruling and reaction from other local lawmakers on our website, clickorlando.com. I'm Justin Warmoth. Hope you have a great Sunday.